We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today, so we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. Well, what's happening? It's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live, we are going to be talking about the massive rally that we have just seen on Bitcoin, and you guys are going to be joining me for a bit of a hardware experiment. I am currently using one of our studio microphones, the Shure SM7B, and I'm running it through this new piece of equipment that I've never used before in my entire life called a Shure MVI. And the reason I'm telling you this is because the audio may end up being a little bit too low. You'll have to forgive me. Bit of a hectic morning. I'm going to explain why I got home at 2 a.m. last night at some point in this stream and why we had to go to labor and delivery again. Nevertheless, we're here. Things are okay. That's all you need to know for right now. What I also want you to know is that I realize this microphone might be too quiet. If it is, I've already got another microphone plugged in. All I got to do is switch it. Just tell me if the microphone's too quiet. I have another microphone that is not as quality, but is a lot lower. Volume up, please. Okay, that's what I thought. We're going to have to switch to my other microphone. Give me 1 second here. We're going to go ahead and switch on over. I do apologize. Give me 1 second. You're going to lose my audio. All right. Check. Boom. There we go. Can you hear me? It's probably not as good quality microphone for sure. Do apologize for that, guys. Really sorry about that. I think this will be my... Yep, that will be the microphone that I normally record from home. All right, well, I will get that fixed. Just need a new piece of hardware to get that working. And the next time I shoot from home, then I will be able to use my studio quality microphone rather than this old Blue Yeti. I do like this Blue Yeti, but it's definitely not the microphone that that I would prefer to be using. Anyway, apologies for the technical difficulties there. Let's go ahead and jump into it. If you didn't know, this is your weekdaily morning show where we bring you the latest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technical, on-chain, and fundamental analysis, but not just about crypto, also about the world at large. We are going to be talking extensively today about the $1,000 rally on Bitcoin that we saw last night, coupled with the $1,000 rally we saw on Bitcoin the night before, and whether or not this is the beginning of a new bull market. Many people are wondering right now, has this market began moving into a more bullish state? Are we actually going into territory where Bitcoin is going to be able to break recent local highs and it's going to be able to start through a major rally? That's what we want to know. That's what we're going to be talking about. And we're going to be analyzing it not just from the cryptocurrency perspective, but also from the macroeconomic perspective, including the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, the CPI data that just dropped yesterday at 6.5% in the United States CPI data, and also the effective federal funds rate. So we have a lot to dig into today. I really appreciate all of you tuning in and joining me for my hardware test. I do apologize. I haven't had a chance to actually run that test yet. So you were privy to some of the behind-the-scenes YouTuber stuff, trying to make sure all of this equipment works. Just need one extra piece of equipment, and it's at the office. I don't even need to buy it. I already have it. I just need to go ahead and get something called a cloud lifter to put in between the audio interface and the microphone, and that will make the microphone loud enough, and I will be able to use that from here on out. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. We got Crypto Nebs 83 in chat, said, keep calm and gently hit that like button for Cowboy Crypto Jebb. I'm sorry, I had to. Did I just run the intro? No, okay. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate all of the love and support. Can I ask if you use the EQ Cloud as a confirmation, Jebb? Yes, I do use some clouds. As far as, I'll show you what I mean in a little while because we're actually going to be using Lux Algo. But yes, I do tend to use the EQ Cloud to help with confirmation. I haven't shown it much recently, but I do like EQ Cloud, and I will be showing you the usefulness of it relatively soon. And it is about to cross bullish on the daily chart for Bitcoin, which might be why you are asking. So we'll look at that here in a little while. Great question. Daniel J in chat, Sean O'Brien in chat, Mike Lowry said, good morning, everyone, and happy hashtag FinSolve Friday. If you don't know what FinSolve is, that's the idea that I created that you guys deserve to have something called financial sovereignty. That is this idea that you have complete and total control over your finances, and nobody can come and take them from you because you have a currency that allows you to do that, and you also have an industry that allows you to do that. The cryptocurrency industry is not quite built that way. I've been coming for the crypto industry relatively recently, and specifically the way the companies are built. And I think that's part of it. We got Crypto Ben Franklin in chat said, happy Friday, everyone. We got OMAC said, good morning. Everybody saying good morning. Everybody saying very low volume. Yep, I believe I fixed that. Mike Lowry said, switch the mic. Yep. So like I said, lower quality but higher volume. I think you guys would rather hear me even if you can't quite hear me very well. My headphone just completely jacked up my hair. Maybe that was my hat. As if it wasn't messed up enough already. Come on, I definitely need some grace on that. Switch the mic. We got Mike Lowry, member for 5 months and a mod. Thank you, Mike. Said, just want to thank you again for all of your hard work and dedication to teaching us about crypto and hashtag FinSov. God bless and have a great weekend. Anthony Tren said, Jebb, sending you and your family lots of love. We're not in a bull run, but we're in a recovery, said Mario De Leon. When People's in chat said, good morning all and God bless you. Thank you so much. Crypto Mini Bike in chat said, good morning, everybody. KXNANH said, Jebb, who is that standing behind you? Oh, gosh, you scared me there. Don't do that, man. No, I'm kidding. OMAC has been a member for 15 months, said, good morning. FinSov for life, Proverbs 13:22. I don't know that one off the top of my head, but I was memorizing Proverbs 9:7 in labor and delivery last night. Let's see if I can remember it. Putting myself on the spot here. He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame, and he that rebuketh a wicked man getteth himself a blot. Essentially, don't bother arguing with fools because it'll just end up backfiring on you. That's another good one. I'll have to look at that. Proverbs 13:22. All right, a little bit of backstory. I will give you more backstory at the end of the show because I know a lot of you guys didn't come to hear my personal life, and you know what? Fair enough. You came here for the title. We were in labor and delivery last night. We've been wanting to be able to go to the hospital for a few days to kind of get everything checked out. We have no more answers other than it seems like Sarah's water isn't broken. So, I mean, I guess that's an answer. That's helpful to know. But otherwise, we still have absolutely no idea what's going on with Sarah and with the pregnancy. We did have another ultrasound done. Everything looked wonderful. So, again, more information on that later on. But let's go ahead and jump into the stream first and foremost. First thing I want to do is jump on over to CoinMarketCap. I opened up CoinMarketCap today, and I did a double take. I saw $19,000. What? And I thought, wow, Bitcoin's doing really well. It's up 5.58% over the last 24 hours and up 13.68% over the last 7 days. Ethereum up 2.1% over the last 24 hours, up 13.8%, 13.08% over the last 7 days. Bitcoin trading at $19,064 and Ethereum trading at $1,412. Tether has been going on an absolute tear, up 0.01%, sitting at $1. Man, that coin really just doesn't move all that much. I know there's going to be one person in chat that's like, Jebb, you doofus, it's US dollar Tether. You can actually look this up. I made an April Fool's video where I did a price prediction on Tether like 4 years ago, and everybody flipped out on me like, you don't know that Tether doesn't move? And I got all of y'all that thought I was serious in that. You can find that video. It was on April Fool's. I think it was April Fool's 2018. Anyway, we got XRP here trading at 37 cents. It's up 1.44% in the last 24 hours. Cardano sitting at just shy of $0.33, up 1.9%. Looking here at the total market cap, we've got Aptos sitting up 30. Looking here at all of CoinMarketCap, ranking by 24-hour change, we've got Aptos up 31.56%. Optimism aptly rallying up 22.08%. I think that may have been what caused it to break into the first into the top 100. Phantom up 15.96%. We actually have an interview with the founder and CEO of the Phantom Foundation, I believe it's called. His name is Michael Kong. You can find that on the channel. I interviewed him at a conference last year. Helium up 9.38%. The Sandbox, you probably are familiar with Sandbox, up 10%. Kava up 9%. Bitcoin Cash up 8% over the last 24 hours. We got Terra Classic up 6.36% over the last 24 hours. Don't buy this. Please, for whatever you do, do not buy this. We've got Ethereum Proof of Work up 5%. Everybody's going to fork a chain when something major happens, like a major developmental update, like Proof of Work to Proof of POW to POS on Ethereum. So that doesn't mean you should go with the legacy hardware. It means you should probably stay with the time. Solana up 5.49%, sitting at $16.73. But the thing I'm really most interested in is this chart. Look at Bitcoin. Look at it go. Like, come on, man. Holy cow. This is crazy. We just just to give you perspective, I just want you to understand something on Bitcoin's daily chart. We have not seen this kind of rally in, well, I would say probably since March of 2022. I think the last time we saw a rally of this caliber, it was probably March of 2022. That was a 28% rally in 15 days. Right now, Bitcoin, including these last 2 days of data, without those last 2 days of data, it doesn't really count. We've rallied 18% in 14 days. So not quite as aggressive there, but again, we were just barely entering the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. We were just barely entering the bear market back there. It makes sense. We have not also seen this parabolic shape of a rally in quite some time. You didn't see a parabolic movement right here. This was the market just kind of glitching out and going through a massive short liquidation. Then boom, we rallied 21% in 7 days. Over here, Bitcoin was just taking it very slow. It was a very gradual trend. It was moving up 1% a day. Wasn't really that big of a deal. This, on the other hand, is different. This is actually very different. And this market structure here, just the shape of this movement, could have a lot of important implications, ranging from a buy signal on LuxAlgo's daily chart for the first time in a year, 10 months anyway, to looking just like the bull market start that we saw during the beginning of the last bull market. And I think that's maybe where we should start. Let's go on BLX. That's the Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin. Let's turn off LuxAlgo for a little while and come back to it a little bit later and take a look at what Bitcoin is doing in relation to my prediction and my ranges for the next year or so, for the next 3 years or so, and also look back at previous bull markets to compare. Now, if you will remember, I have drawn these 3 boxes to give you the kind of idea of where Bitcoin is going to go. I drew these boxes right after FTX crashed, so we were like right here. Bitcoin has not actually gone down here into the bottom parts of this box. It stayed out of the bottom right. It stayed out of the bottom left. It stayed out of the entire bottom. It stayed in the top third of this box, indicating that of all the areas that I could have foreseen Bitcoin going, Bitcoin has managed to stay in the bullish camp of all of those areas. In fact, it's even gone above the bullish camp of those areas and moving into this next box, which starts April the 3rd of 2023, roughly. We might actually not be in a box. We might actually be too bullish to be fitting in one. It is very possible at this point that if Bitcoin can continue this rally, that we may move something like this, and we may have an even more bullish trajectory than what I had predicted. And a lot of people were saying, Jebb, that was extremely bullish, what you had predicted, that Bitcoin would go to $200,000 within the next 3 years. I mean, this market rallying to $206,000 by middle 2025, that's a pretty bullish target. And a lot of people were like, Jebb, I'm not so sure about that. But with the way Bitcoin's moving right now, it is obviously way too early to tell. But this is encouraging. This is encouraging on that long-term perspective. But also, let's look at the older charts. Let's look at what Bitcoin did during the last couple of major, the beginnings to bull markets or the beginnings of major rallies. So the first place I want to look at is this area and this area right here. Obviously, these were the two genesises of a multi-100% rally. We saw Bitcoin rally 250-odd% back here in the first half of 2019. Over here, we saw Bitcoin rally 500% in half a year at towards the end of 2020 on into the beginning of 2021. This was the era of the pandemic. This was the era of extremely cheap money. This was the era of everybody thought geopolitics would go back to normal, and then they realized demographics and war make that impossible. This was the optimistic era that COVID would end. Oop, I'm going to get taken down. The pandemic would end, and then we're going to go back to normal. And you had all the New York Times articles of, we're not going back to normal, and other people saying, we can go back to normal. And then we realized, no, we can't, because there was the largest conflict on European soil in 75 years, combined with demographic collapse of most of the modern world beginning this decade. And then we realized, wait, no, we can't go back into that. So that was the era that rally took place in. That was the era of, okay, this kind of sucks right now because the economy's in turmoil, but the oil market's going up. The Dixie's doing God knows what. And there's cheap money. So let's go ahead and just buy a ton of Bitcoin. This is where MicroStrategy got in. This is where Tesla got in. This is where you saw Tesla rallying to $1 trillion in market cap. This is where you saw Apple. I keep going to the Solana chart that's dead. This is where you saw all of those different markets going through massive rallies in tech. And now all of those markets in tech are collapsing. And Bitcoin is too, because Bitcoin's industry was built like the tech industry. Nevertheless, my point is we were in a different world than we are now. However, I want to just show you very, very simply. I mean, this is quite simple. This is just comparison. The way the market moved here. We were trading sideways, and then just one day, kind of out of nowhere, we just started moving parabolic. We moved to 83% in 47 days. Just like, boom, light the candle. It just took off. I mean, literally, this bull market started, as far as looking at it from the candlesticks. I'm not talking about confirmations with moving averages and whatnot. This bull market basically started October 8th, 2022. For whatever reason, we don't know the exact reason that it kicked off just on that random day. And then it just rallied 500% in 4 months. It just took off. It just blew up. But it started with this inexplicable parabolic movement being generated from sideways ranging price action. Similar thing back here. Bitcoin was just randomly moving, then it broke local highs, and then it just inextricably went parabolic and started moonshotting. This was the disbelief rally. So was this moment right now and right here in history. And even going back to 2014-15, we saw a very, very, very similar market to what we see right now. We saw established local tops that were established after a major exchange collapsed. Excuse me, in this case, it was Mt. Gox. We saw the entire cryptocurrency industry fall apart after that collapse. Everybody thought it was dead. The number of Bitcoin obituaries in this territory was massive. And then, out of nowhere, seemingly unexplainably, we just saw this massive parabolic rally. Well, now let's compare this parabolic rally right here that, mind you, kicked off the, what was it, 10,000% bull market that would follow over the next 2.5 years. It started just out of nowhere, and it looks on a different time frame. This is a much different time frame. It looks a lot like this. It looks a lot like Bitcoin going parabolic and then breaking recent local highs that have been set by the depressed state of price action following the collapse of a major exchange. The point is here is that this could be the beginning of a disbelief rally, which could lead us out of the bear market and lead us into a bull market. It is way too early to call that for certain. Way too early to call that for certain. So that's the longer term perspective on Bitcoin. I'm not here to tell you that that is definitely what's going to happen. Make no mistake, I personally want to see a whole lot more confirmation before I get any kind of confidence that Bitcoin is about to go back into a bull market. I'd like to see Bitcoin above like $27,000 before I get into that territory. However, it is encouraging because we haven't seen this kind of movement. Why are we moving this way? Why are we seeing this parabolic movement? And also, keep in mind, why this month are we seeing the rally continue after CPI data came out when last month we didn't? If you'll remember, last month we saw CPI data drop. Right around that same time, we saw a major rally, and then Bitcoin capitulated and topped out and came back down after we saw 7.1% drop on CPI. Well, yesterday, of course, you know, I think I have it up here somewhere. Yesterday, as you know, we dropped down to 6.5%. Pretty big deal. Everybody's expecting it to keep coming down and to be at 2% relatively soon. If you watch yesterday's stream, you will know why that's almost certainly not going to happen. Why the deflation is going to slow down. The decrease in the inflation is going to slow down over the next several months because most of that decrease comes from the oil market stabilizing itself and actually declining in the price of Brent crude oil, and that impacts the prices of all of the derivatives of that supply chain. But a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think, oh, CPI is coming down. Great. That means the Fed is going to chill out pretty soon, and they're going to almost certainly come in with a 25% basis point rate hike, which CME Group says in 19 days the FOMC is going to come out with a 94.2% likelihood at a 25% basis point rate hike. And people are thinking, okay, well, the market may not be getting into territory that we really, really love right now, but the things that are bad are starting to get less bad. The EFFR just jumping 75 basis points every 45 days, those days are over, and those days probably are over for many, many years. Hopefully my camera did not just turn off. Okay, nope, you can still see me. By the way, I don't know if you can tell, I am using a different camera. I was using this little guy for this, but you can see, oh man, this camera we're shooting on is gorgeous. Look at this. But now we're using a Canon EOS R. I've got a whole travel bag set up, all kinds of fun stuff. I'm a bit of a tech nerd, so we might talk about that later. Anyway, what I'm saying is that people are seeing that the environment is changing so much in the cryptocurrency realm and in the world. They're realizing that CPI is coming down. They're seeing that jobs data is decent, depending on how you look at it and how deep you look into it. They're seeing GDP is looking, again, decent. I'm not really the most convinced, but it is a bullish number. They're also looking at the EFFR coming down to 25 basis point rate hike. And another thing is they're seeing that the Dixie is, you know, just dropping like Russia's GDP right now. This thing is just completely collapsing. And a lot of the reason for that is because, well, this. we're not hiking rates as aggressively. We're also seeing the rest of the global economy continue to hike rates, and the other countries started hiking rates after the United States. So the United States are slowing down their rate hikes. Other nations are speeding up their rate hikes. So there's a twofold paradigm there where the dollar is getting stronger slower, and the other currencies are getting stronger faster. And so the Dixie is coming down. That's a very oversimplified reason. But the Dixie being down 11% in the last 90 to 100 days, that's definitely going to have a major implication on Bitcoin, considering how highly inversely correlated they are. But again, the most important thing I can point out here is that we saw CPI data drop here at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time yesterday, and we dropped briefly, but then we rallied 4% in an hour. That's really exciting. Was it just liquidation data, though? That'd be my question. Because if you come over to coinglass.com/liquidation data, you can see, and by the way, we have no affiliation with them. I just really like their service and their website. You can see that there were a ton of liquidations that took place yesterday. We come down here to the 1 hourly chart. Both of these spikes were driven by or led to, you don't really know whether it's causal or correlative, but were driven by or led to major liquidations in two different territories. On January the 11th, we saw $92 million worth of shorts getting liquidated in an hour, followed by $60 million the next hour, followed by $25 million the next hour. We did end up seeing some long liquidations to the tune of about $75 million. That caused our drop right after CME futures. Sorry, not CME futures, right after CPI data dropped. But then we saw a $52 million drop on $52 million short liquidation happen within 1 hour, and that's what propelled Bitcoin to the upside. The question comes down to, though, were the shorts liquidated because the market moved up, or did the market move up because the shorts were liquidated? It's chicken and the egg. We don't know. But what I can tell you is that all those people who were in a short trade just got burned, and they're probably going to be like, oh, I just put my hand on a stove. I don't want to do that again. They don't want to short right now. They want to sit back and say, okay, well, the bulls have been moving us to the upside every single day for, let's see, how long have we been moving to the upside in perfect green territory? We've got 6 green candlesticks in a row, and if you remove these 2 tiny little red candlesticks, we've actually got more like 13 green in a row. So the bears are probably sitting here like, okay, we really want to short this because this looks like a great opportunity to absolutely wreck some bulls and make some money. But this also kind of looks like it could be the beginning of a bull market. So we don't really know what to do. So the bears are kind of sitting on their hands thinking, okay, I'm just gonna not reprove a scorner lest I get myself shame, and I'm just gonna sit here on my money, and I might even become a bull. And I think that's where some of the bears are right now. They're thinking, I want to be bearish. There could be DCG going bankrupt. We have a giant global conflict. We have hiccups in the supply. We have devastation of the global supply chain, to use a more appropriate term, because that's the only appropriate term. Bitcoin should be going down right now, but it's going up. Why? Well, Bitcoin's driven by hype most of the time. A lot of times it is driven in the long term by fundamentals, and that's the thing that ends up pulling out like, wait, no, come back. We really need to do this thing because of fundamentals, but the hype is what really gets it moving. Right now, people are tired of being in a bear market. They want the market to move up. They are excited. They're going to jump at every opportunity, but because they're so jumpy, that makes this rally dangerous. The reason is a lot of the people that are buying right now might not be buying because of technicals and fundamentals, because this rally is far from confirmed to be anything substantial. A lot of people are buying right now because people are buying right now. And if people are buying because people are buying, that's called the bandwagon effect, and that normally doesn't last long because that's not built on anything substantive. That's similar to what happened back here, and this is what I'm cautioning you against. Similarly, back here, we saw 2 days of straight rally, and then we were just kind of laddering up here because there were some short liquidations. There were some short liquidations, similar to what we saw just now. Then we rallied up, set new local highs, and then a giant exchange went bankrupt. If we rally up here, and then we see DCG implodes on itself, or, God forbid, we find out that Grayscale or somebody's just shorting them, liquidating people in short positions and causing the market to just go through a massive rally because they're buying to get the shorts liquidated and then make more money than they actually did, and they're manipulating the market to the upside to keep themselves solvent so they don't go bankrupt like I have a theory FTX was doing back around October the 25th or so, then that would also be very concerning if this was a manipulated movement. The point is that there's not a lot to back up this rally just yet. People are excited, but people don't really know why they're excited. And that is a dangerous place to be. That being said, I don't want to just crash the parade too hard because there are a few very valid technical factors. First and foremost, there is this downtrend right here that Bitcoin is contending with right now. And if this downtrend is broken, this is on the log chart, it'll show up kind of on the linear chart, but not quite as well. If Bitcoin is able to break through this downtrending level of resistance, hooray. That's actually going to be really, really nice. And the VRVP, as you can see, just looking at the last several months, one of the VRVP maxima, other than the one down here, is sitting exactly where we are right now at $19,200. In short, a takeaway you can grab from this stream is that Bitcoin breaking through 19.2, that's kind of the summit. Remember what we say on VRVP. If you get to the top of the mountain, then you're sitting here in a very high potential energy state. You don't know whether you're going to fall down the north side of the mountain or the south slope. But you're probably not going to stay up there on top of the mountain. If you put a ball on top of a hill, a wind gust comes by, and the thing's going to roll down one side of the hill. The question is, which side? Right now, it really kind of does just come down to what's the wind gust? Do we stay up here until this data drops and we get 25% basis point rate hike, and then that's the little gust that we need to push to the upside and we rally, and then we fall down the hill and we build support at 19,000, and then we build our base and we get above 20? Great. What happens if DCG comes down? Well, that's not a gush. That's more like a tornado came through and just destroyed your house, and the market just comes and collapses back down to $17,000 at least. But my point is, we're sitting in unstable territory right now. We're going to see a very rapid movement relatively soon. Because we moved this quickly and put $2,000 of space between us in just 2 or 3 days, we don't have a lot of... The order books are not very full right now. I don't have an order book up here I'd show you, but I don't care what exchange you're on. The order books are going to be much thinner right now than they were 5 days ago because we haven't had a month to just entrench ourselves. We are currently in the middle of a breakout. The question is whether or not that breakout can reestablish current market structure up here and we can rally more, or if the market's just going to end up faltering back to where it started. The point is we are in a very unstable position right now, and Bitcoin is unlikely to just camp out at $19,200 for the next month. We're probably going to see a major movement in one direction or the other relatively soon. And with how volatile things are right now, it is incredibly difficult to predict which direction we're going to go. But I'm going to be honest, there is something in my gut, and if you've been in this space long enough, if you're brand new here, which there might be 2 of you that are brand new here, be careful with this. But if you've been in the space for a long time and you watch this market move daily like I have, there is something to be said about listening to your gut. Don't just trade based off of your gut, but take it as a factor, because your instinct was given to you by God for a reason. He gave the lion the instinct. He almost always operates off of it. Same thing for you. He gave you an instinct. My instinct is that Bitcoin is going to really try and smash some resistance here. My instinct is that we very well may end up breaking the downtrend that I just showed you, and we very well may end up confirming a buy signal on LuxAlgo. And if we confirm a buy signal on LuxAlgo, which we already have the buy signal, we just need the trend catcher to turn green, then whew, yeah, this really could be something. This really could be something. I'm going to wait and find out, though. But just so you know, Bitcoin is up $300 since we started streaming. That's a pretty big deal. All right, let's go ahead and read chat here for a little while, catch up with you guys. Really appreciate the 700 people for tuning in. Like I said, Bitcoin rallied $1,000 over the last 24 hours. That's a big deal. Do you think that this is the beginning of a rally to, over $25,000? Is this the beginning? Can I spell beginning? Nope, I cannot spell beginning. Beginning, there we go, of a major Bitcoin rally. All right, there's a poll in chat now, which you guys will have seen a little bit ago. I'm gonna go ahead and read chat here for a little while. By the way, if you guys are new here, this is your week daily morning show, Coffee and Crypto, where I bring you all kinds of content on the macro environment of the world. I talk about geopolitics, I talk about supply chains, I talk about CPI, I talk about inflation, I talk about the effective federal funds rate, I talk about the war in Ukraine, I talk about Twitter, I talk about Tesla, I talk about all of these different macro things, but I also talk extensively about cryptocurrencies. I talk about Bitcoin, I talk about I almost feel like I'm singing that song. I want to talk about me, want to talk about I want to talk about, you know that song. I feel like that's what I'm saying. We also talk about crypto. We look at the charts, and I try and give you guys as comprehensive of a picture of what the future is going to look like in crypto as I can. All right. Let's see here. All while wearing a cowboy hat. Funny delay, lol. Was there a delay? I'm sorry. Let's see. Let's look in chat here for a couple of minutes. We're going to read chat here for about another 2 minutes, and then we'll jump right back into it. Lots to do. Politics creates charts. Bidenomics is in the hot seat. Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on there. DCG is over $2 billion in losses. Michael Saylor is $3 billion in losses. Any more richest people in the world left? Yeah, so DCG is in a pickle. Michael Saylor, I think, will probably be okay because he set himself up with an exceedingly low liquidation point. Whales want to liquidate high. Yeah, a lot of big players have bought Bitcoin at these lows now. Bitcoin will fall to $11,000. Exchanges making money from liquidations as FTX and other exchanges are doing to make a profit. That's the thing. There is a big part of me that's wondering if this is a manipulated movement to the upside so that exchanges can make enough money so that they don't go insolvent and go bankrupt. We are not fully out of contagion. Miguel Costa said, Jebb, how are you and Sarah? Crypto related, do you think AI is a good investment? I found Epic Protocol, but I don't know if I should FOMO. Super low mic. Yeah, sorry about the microphone. I think we got it fixed now. Kind of fixed anyway. A bit of a patchwork job on it. But as far as do you think AI is a good investment? Not really, unless AI has a direct to customer use case. There's a lot of artificial intelligence that's being developed for the sake of developing it, and I think you just have some mad scientists out there that want to see what they can do and fiddle around with stuff, and that's kind of a scary place to do that with, but I don't think it's a good investment unless there is a commercially viable use case for it, or a governmental viable use case for it, because there is a lot of artificial intelligence that goes into the military-industrial complex, and that might be a good investment. How am I and Sarah? Well, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the stream. Queen's here, said Bedrock present. What's up? A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. There you go. Pursue righteousness. All right. Let's see. Anything else? Hey, Jebb, do you stake DOT on Ledger? I do not. I do not do that. You got left out if you're waiting for $10,000. Not going to happen now. Not a chance. Yeah, I'm glad we loaded up down around 15 or so. Pretty excited about that. Pretty sure there are use cases. Check biotech, robotics, weapons, space. Absolutely there are. I'm talking about the specifics. AI definitely has a lot of use cases commercially. I'm talking about the specific development going on, because if you're developing AI to figure out which direction dogs poop, then that's probably not going to be the most profitable investment. But if you're investing in artificial intelligence that can fly a Falcon 9 Heavy without a crew, so that if there's an oxygen problem and they can't breathe anymore, they can pilot itself back to Earth or something, then yeah, that's a pretty useful piece of artificial intelligence that will probably see investment. Depends on what the use case is. All right, let's go ahead and jump back into it. We're going to read a couple of articles, and then I also want to read a very interesting one to do with the Russian-Ukrainian conflict that could end up being one of the biggest developments of the entire war. Tesla turns tables on Bitcoin as 2023 gains outpace BTC comeback. It's a game of cat and mouse for Bitcoin price and Tesla stock this month, but so far, Tesla is staging a stronger rebound. Tesla up almost 25% from January low. This is pretty interesting that Tesla is doing so well, and I don't want to just be a huge hater on Tesla. If you don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of where Tesla is stock price wise right now. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't like Tesla. I think Tesla is one of the greatest companies that's been built in 50 years. I think it is still a young and immature company as far as auto manufacturers go, but it is a very, very, very large and successful company for a reason. They've got a very good product that a lot of people want. There's a few problems. Number one, Elon Musk, the head honcho of Tesla, could be getting fired soon because his third largest investor that holds like 4% of Tesla is coming for him because he's not actually being the CEO of Tesla anymore while claiming to be the CEO of Tesla. Dude's kind of got a point there because he's off gallivanting on Twitter and not actually running the car company that he built. So some guy with $3 billion worth of shares in Tesla is very, very upsetty about that. It's actually more than that. I think it's like $7 billion. I forgot the guy's name, but you can look into that. So that's one concern. The other concern is that while he's over gallivanting at Twitter, he's also ticking off his entire customer base. The people that buy Teslas are a lot of white, rich liberals that want the planet to stop warming. And a lot of them hate Trump. And a lot of them hate the right. Elon, like him or hate him, is kind of posting himself on Twitter as their arch nemesis. So Teslas are still selling because at the end of the day, people are buying the product, not the CEO. But that's lucky. You know, the CEO is especially the founder, not just the CEO, but especially the founder. Their image is insanely important to a company because if people cannot trust and get behind the founder, then they're never going to actually buy the product. I was in Wendy's last night. Every good, funny story that happens at midnight begins with, I was in Wendy's last night. I was in Wendy's last night getting food for my wife and I because we were at labor and delivery. It was right before closing. And not to hate on Wendy's, but I was let down by their spicy chicken sandwich. But on the wall, it had a little quote from the founder, whatever the guy's name is, of Wendy's, and it said, "Our number one ingredient is quality." So I think Wendy's realizes what I'm saying. If you can convince everybody of the character of the founder, whether it's true or not, it's harder when he's alive and the biggest voice on Twitter. But if you can convince everybody that the founder believed in this one thing, then people can kind of look past the product a little bit and look at the founder. I think that's kind of where Wendy's is because I'm going to tell you, it wasn't the best spicy chicken sandwich, and the people working there, man, they were having some fun. They were crazy. The lady that had our sandwich said, "Oh, Jebb!" And I said, "Hi." It was crazy, yeah. Anyway, my point is that if you can look past the product at the founder and say, "I really like that guy. I'm going to buy his product, even if he's dead for the last 40 years," people will still do business with the company. The hard thing is when you have the founder alive with 125 million followers on Twitter, a larger voice than probably every single head of state in the entire world combined, other than Biden. And he's ticking off his entire customer base. That's a big problem for Tesla. Not only that, the rest of the auto manufacturers are catching up with them technologically, and they're also catching up with them in the form of quality. So Tesla is really riding off of its brand right now. And Elon is doing a great job of trying to blow that up. Not saying Elon shouldn't be able to say whatever he wants. He is more than welcome to say whatever he wants, especially on his own platform. And I frankly respect a lot of what he said, even if I don't always agree with it. But many of the people that would be in the customer base to buy Tesla might not be. But he might also be building a new customer base with a bunch of libertarians. And the libertarians and the liberals will all drive Teslas everywhere. We'll see. I don't know. I do think Tesla is a wonderful company, but I do think as the old maxim goes, it is valued as a tech company rather than a car company. And I think that is a problem. Anyway, let's keep moving here. Let me just check chat really quickly here because I think I'm going to get a lot of hate on that Tesla opinion. Elon wasn't the founder of Tesla. I know, but everybody thinks he is. He's not the founder of Tesla. I know that, but he might as well have been. He's the guy that gets all the credit. Everybody's talking about Wendy's in chat. Wendy's is better than a lot of fast food places, but their breakfast is trash. Yeah, Wendy's is decent. I'm just going to say nobody holds a candle to a Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwich. Just nobody can even come close. If you've never had a spicy chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, I am a total fanboy. That thing is incredible. The Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich, man, I felt like I was... yeah, it didn't ring quality. Anyway, let's get off of that topic. Eating at Wendy's will put you in the hospital. Oh, so it's a cycle. You go to the hospital for something else, then you eat Wendy's, and it keeps you there, and then the hospital makes more money. That might be it. Okay. Can a Christian invest in the weapons industry? I don't know, but I'd be very careful with that. We try and be very careful with if you're a believer. I try and be very careful with where we put our money. People ask us for money sometimes, and we know what they're going to do with it, and I'm like, I'm not going to give you money. We were asked for $20 last night, and we're like, I don't really think that that's going to go to the most holy thing, so we ended up not doing it. The Lord's chicken. Yes, the Lord's chicken. There you go. All right, let's keep moving here. FTX allowed by bankruptcy judge to sell Ledger X and other assets. The FTX assets that will be sold include the derivatives platform Ledger X, the stock clearing platform Embed, and its regional arms FTX Japan and FTX Europe. The judge in charge of overseeing the FTX bankruptcy proceedings has given the embattled crypto exchange the approval to sell some of its assets to aid its efforts in repaying its creditors. According to the filing in the Delaware Bankruptcy Court, Judge John Dorsey, not to be confused with Jack Dorsey, has approved the sale of 4 key units of FTX. The assets include the derivatives platform Ledger X, the stock trading platform Embed, and its regional arms FTX Japan and FTX Europe. Interested bidders can now contact investment bank Perella Weinberg, tasked to begin the sale process, representing FTX and its assets. Earlier this week, 117 parties expressed interest in purchasing the FTX assets for sale. These parties can access information regarding the assets as part of their due diligence before buying up the units. The embattled cryptocurrency exchange has reportedly recovered around $5 billion in cash and cryptocurrencies, according to the FTX lawyer Andy Dietrich. That sounds German, and I do not know how to pronounce it. The FTX attorney said that while the exchange has recovered some funds, the crypto platform is still working to rebuild its transaction history. That's the old maxim, isn't it? We had 1 million users on FTX at least. I mean, that's just the kind of people that are looking to get their money back. God knows how many millions of people there were on FTX. Probably north of 10 million people had an account on FTX. Probably at least half of them had made at least one transaction, which means you've probably got north of 10 billion transactions that took place on FTX, and with its related infrastructure, they're trying to rebuild that transaction history. Goodness gracious, have fun with that. Wow. That's gonna suck. They've been trying to do that for quite some time. By the way, this is a related article, and this is a pretty important one. Crypto.com CEO announces a 20% staff cut did not account for FTX collapse. If Crypto.com goes bankrupt, you can kiss this little rally that Bitcoin's in right now goodbye, because Crypto.com and FTX were about the same size. We'll talk about that more in the future, but they just laid off 200 and, in June, they laid off 250 people. Now they're laying off like 1,000. Coinbase has been downsizing as well. All right, so let's go to full screen here, and there is one final article that I want to talk to you guys about. But first, I'm going to read chat just a little bit. Like I said, I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. By the way, if you have not already, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate all of you guys being here, because you being here is what makes this channel possible, and you are the reason for this channel being here. Guys, I want you to know that I am not some like whiz kid in cryptocurrency. I don't know everything. I want you guys to know that I'm just a dude that makes YouTube videos, and I like to read about crypto and global events, and I've learned a lot, and I like to share it, and I hope that you guys can learn something from me. I just want you to know that if you have a dream in crypto of being on crypto YouTube, or if you have a dream of making money in crypto, or if you have a dream of just doing a YouTube channel in a different field, you can do it. As far as I believe that it is possible. I didn't think it was possible, but there was, as far as I kind of did think it was. Actually, I take that back. When I started the channel, I kind of did think it was possible. Like, wait a minute, I think I could probably do this. But I don't know if I was so much prideful, but I was just like, I've seen other people do it, so why can't I do it? And that's kind of what I'm trying to tell you, is that maybe it's one of the purposes of this channel that it might inspire you to go and start something and to have a dream and chase it. And I don't want that to be lost, because that's where all of these companies and all these tech startups and this entire industry came from, is somebody had a dream because there was a real problem and they tried to solve it. All right. We had a super chat. Thank you so very much for that. Not gonna read about the spamming in the chat. In fact, we're gonna have to put some people in timeout. We have to put you in timeout. Gonna have to put you in the naughty chair. We're gonna not be we're not gonna be doing pumping and shelling of coins in chat, guys. Chick-fil-A is a best fast food, but Popeye's chicken sandwich is better. Oh, I don't know about that. We'll have to go to Popeye's and test that out. My channel is currently small, but it's growing. My shorts is where I'm getting most of my subs. Shorts are really great, and I need to be doing more of them. Let's see. I'm seeing a lot of confidence returning. My sales have picked back up. Great. Likes. I feel that. All I did was read a book on controlling emotions during pump and dumps, and it's changed my outlook on many things. There you go. Well, you gotta... The fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against these things there is no law. Self-control is a fruit of the Spirit. It is our job to be sober-minded, self-controlled, and not drunk on something at all times as believers. It's what drunken. You don't just get drunk on alcohol. You can get drunk on fear. You can get intoxicated, inebriated, addicted, influenced, informed, and wasted by a lot more than just alcohol. You can get there from drugs. You can get there from emotions. You can get there from relationships. You can get there from crypto. You can get there from anything. You need to be self-controlled. You need to be of a sober mind. Even if you're not a believer, I would encourage you to read what the Bible has to say about it, because even if you don't believe in God, I pray that you will one day, and take him to be as your Lord and Savior. But even if you don't, one of the beneficial takeaways you can take away from the Bible, it is the greatest self-help book that's ever been written in the history of mankind, except it's not you that's doing the help, because you can't actually help yourself. You need Christ. But even if you aren't a believer, you're still going to find helpful things inside of there. You can go read in Galatians 5 about self-control. All right. All right. I work at Chick-fil-A. Gotta be honest, Popeye's chicken sandwich comes really close. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, we have one more article that I want to go through, and it would be... Oops. The article disappeared. What the heck? It disappeared. I have the... Well, okay. I think this one right here will work well. In fact, I believe this might have been... Okay. Well, I know the story anyway, so we'll just kind of base it off of this. Essentially, we are talking about a headline, something like this. The United Kingdom and Poland are donating modern tanks to Ukraine, proving NATO no longer fears Russia. Let's go ahead and just back up. Russia invaded Ukraine February 24th, 2022. Largest conflict on European soil in the last 75 years. Completely destroyed globalization. It was already collapsing anyway, but that was the nail in the coffin. The United States has been sending gradually more and more expensive and high-tech equipment to Ukraine to defend itself from Russia over the last 10 months. It started out with smaller things like arms, like small arms and guns and whatnot. Ukraine's got a ton of those now, especially the ones they looted from the corpses of the Russians. And they're having a little bit of trouble with ammunition, but that's because they fired 1 billion shots, and you got to remake all that stuff, because you can't just, it's not a Nerf gun. You don't just go pick it up and then put it right back in there. You got to make new ammunition, so that's a problem. They've got javelins, which they actually didn't use to destroy most of the tank force of the Russians. The Russians kind of left behind most of their tank force because of incompetency. They fired them at all of their tactical vehicle infrastructure. So now you've got Russia driving around in school buses and vans and street buses to move arms to the front line. So that was what they did with the javelins. Then they got the HIMARS. The HIMARS assisted in the Battle of Kherson. They also assisted in the northern recapture of the Kharkiv region and pushing the Russians back towards southern Ukraine into the Donbass territory, and the Donbass and Luhansk territory, which is where the war basically started. They had already had a lot of ground there with the separatists over there in the People's Republic of Donetsk and Luhansk. The United States has been gradually sending more and more equipment, because every time you send equipment, the Russians are going to respond with, "Ha-ha, if you send equipment, then we're going to do this." And now the West has realized Russia's full of it, and they really have no way of responding unless they want to use nukes, and Putin still wants to live. He doesn't want to go down in history as the guy that destroyed the world. He wants to go down in history as the guy that expanded Russia and rebuilt the Soviet Union. So if he destroys the entire planet, then he doesn't have the ability to have that in his biography, because there will be no one left to write his biography. So the West realizes that unless Russia wants to toss a nuke at Washington, D.C., and then we will toss a nuke at Putin and Russia, they can't really do anything. They've already played the game of using their strategic resource reserves of the iron and food, and blockading Odessa, where all the wheat was coming out of Ukraine, their natural gas and their oil exports. They've already played that game. The world's already adjusting. All Russia can really do is mobilize more men. By the way, there is likely going to be an announcement in the coming days of a 500,000 man mobilization in Russia, because I read a report, and I don't know how accurate it is, but it would make sense based on the history of Russia, that Russia is trying to build a 2 million man army. They mobilized 300,000 men several months ago. That didn't go very well for them. They actually probably ended up mobilizing more than that. Now they're probably in just the next few days going to announce that they have been mobilizing 500,000 men, again, trying to build that 2 million man strong army. They kind of need it because they don't have any more tech. They don't have a whole lot. They don't have a whole lot more gear. They don't have a whole lot more money. So what Russia normally does when they get into that position, which is what they normally have happen when they get into a conflict, is they throw bodies at the problem and they wage a war until hundreds of thousands of people are no longer with us, which will only contribute even more to the demographic collapse of their nation, which was already set in stone 40 years ago. The West realizes that Russia can't answer to the West sending more and more powerful equipment. We sent 50 Bradleys 2 weeks ago. The French sent several, I don't know how many, but several AMX-10 RCs, those being 8x8 wheeled armored fighting vehicles. Some people call them light tanks. They're not exactly light tanks. All the people out there that love tanks are going to be like, oh, that's not a tank. But nevertheless, it's something that moves. It's got armor and it's got a gun, is the point. It's a light vehicle. But by light, I still mean a couple dozen tons. Now, the next stage in this is sending main battle tanks. The last thing that we would probably send them would be M1A2 American Abrams tanks, because the United States doesn't want anybody having that technology, because the United States reserves the highest part of our highest tech for ourselves. There are even some of our fighter jets that we won't even give to our own allies, because if it gets shot down over Libya and that technology gets out and the Chinese get it, then, well, crap, we're 20 years. We were 20 years ahead. Now we're 0 years ahead because the tech's out there. We probably won't end up sending the M1A2 battle tanks, Abrams main battle tanks. However, there are the Challenger 2s and there are the Leopard 2s, and these are the tanks that we're talking about. These are the tanks of Germany and Britain. If you are a World War II nerd like I am, then you will remember the name Challenger and Leopard, because the Leopard was a late World War II addition to the German arsenal in the form of the Leopard main battle tank. It wasn't called a main battle tank back then, it was just a heavy tank. But then you also had the Challenger tanks put out towards the end of the war by the British, and these are essentially the continuation of those legacies, the Challenger being the British and the Leopard being the German tanks. Because believe it or not, Germany was still allowed to make tanks after World War II. They just weren't really allowed to use them. There are over 2,000 of these tanks in reserves all over Europe. And right now, and just about 2 days ago, Poland pretty much announced in a trilateral agreement between the president of Poland, can't pronounce his name for the life of me, I'm not even going to try and offend him with that, the president of, I believe it was Lithuania, and Zelensky of Ukraine. They had a summit in Lviv, I think, in western Ukraine. And Poland pretty much promised they were going to send a company of Leopard 2 tanks. That would be 12 Leopard 2 tanks is the size of a company. The only thing that they're having trouble with right now is that to send a tank to another nation, you have to get the approval of the nation that built the tank, because it's that nation's tech. Poland didn't create the Leopard 2. They bought it. They bought the specs from Germany. So Germany has to approve on any kind of delivery of tanks. Germany is more than likely going to end up doing that, because Germany realizes the existential threat of Russia winning in Ukraine and how dire that is for the continent. You're talking about potentially Russia trying to knock on NATO's doorsteps with an emboldened military if it runs over Ukraine. Because, by the way, if Russia runs over Ukraine, they will lose a conventional war with the United States. The United States and Russia will then probably be in the closest point to a nuclear general nuclear exchange that we've been at since the Cuban Missile Crisis, probably even more so than that. And the problem is that if Russia does run over Ukraine, well, they captured all of that Western equipment that they can now throw against NATO. Germany does not want that, because they want to live, believe it or not. So they probably will end up doing that and sending that equipment over there. That's the reason they have it in the first place, is for this kind of event. So Germany will likely authorize that. If they do, you're probably going to see over 100 Leopard 2 tanks, and the United Kingdom is already talking about sending its Challenger 2 tanks. You could see upwards of 200 main battle tanks arriving in Ukraine in just the next 3 months in preparation for the mud season ending in April, moving into the summer when the Russians have 1 million men on the battlefield and the Ukrainians have 200,000 or 300,000, but they're rolling around in fancy high-tech Western armor. Like I've been telling you, this summer is going to be a slugfest like we have not seen since the Western Front in 1942. And that's a very sad thing, by the way. I don't want to sit here and make that sound like it's overly cool, or because in like a video game sense, yeah, that'd be like, oh yeah, cool. This is not cool. This is horrible. Just let's remember that these tanks are these vehicles, they are designed to end people. And I understand that Ukraine has to defend itself, and I do hope that Ukraine wins this war. And I do think they should continue fighting for their own survival. But I'm definitely not trying to glorify war, because it's a horrible thing. Anyway, if Ukraine does get a delivery of NATO weaponry, such as Leopard 2 and Challenger 2 tanks, that definitely changes things. Because if that happens, you could see an even larger escalation in the amount of equipment that NATO sends Ukraine. You could see more Patriot missile batteries being sent towards Ukraine. You could see the big brother of the HIMARS. I'm forgetting what it's called, but the HIMARS is actually kind of the light version of our the United States' version of an MLRS, the multiple launch rocket system that we have. You could end up seeing a lot of those being sent over. You also see the entire military-industrial complex in the United States is moving like a fine-tuned engine right now. And by a fine-tuned engine, I'm talking about it's moving very quickly. It might not be moving the most efficiently. In fact, I guarantee you it's not moving the most efficiently. But it is moving very quickly because the United States is trying to build a ton of ammunition to send to Ukraine, because Ukraine has shot every shot that it had in its own arsenals at this point by an order of magnitude. It is firing NATO weaponry. It is using Ukrainian men to fire NATO weapons, firing NATO ammunition, riding around in NATO vehicles using NATO targeting guidance systems and NATO information. This is a proxy war of all proxy wars, and it is an incredibly important one. This is not, by the way, this is not like Vietnam, where Vietnam collapses, okay, communism spreads a little bit. This is existential, because if Russia conquers Ukraine, as I said, they are knocking on NATO's doorstep, and they'd be emboldened. And by the way, they probably have all of these Challenger 2 tanks, all of these the Patriot missile batteries. They might get some tech from that. The Leopard 2 tanks, they're going to get all the arms. They're going to get whatever ammunition is left. They're going to end up having a huge stockpile of weapons and arms and be emboldened to launch an attack on NATO. You don't want that. That's World War III. Whether you agree with sending money to Ukraine, whatever you think about the corruption that most certainly has been part of Ukraine, especially up until the last several years. Whatever you think about Ukraine, if you think the military-industrial complex is one giant money laundering scheme, which frankly, in a way, it kind of is, you want Ukraine to win this war if you want your way of life to continue. I'm not just talking about a nuclear war, because it's possible that that wouldn't happen. But if you want your way of life insofar as your standard of living and global peace to continue, then you want them to win this war. How do you feel about the territories that voted to join Russia? They didn't vote, and that vote was a complete and total farce. Doesn't England have the world's most advanced tank? Well, what defines the most advanced tank? I couldn't tell you that. James 4:1, from whence come wars and fighting among you? Come they hence, even of your lust that war in your members. Exactly. Amen. And as for us believers, James 1:22 says, but be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So let us not say things like that and then go and do it ourselves, because God knows I've quoted the word before against a certain thing, or I've corrected someone or rebuked someone or judged something, and then I've turned around and done the same thing. So let's not turn around and war against each other if we're going to condemn the war in Russia and Ukraine, and we most certainly should be. Question, how old were you when you started YouTubing? Bro, you were a whiz kid at crypto and helping a lot of people. I don't know about a whiz kid. I really appreciate that, but yeah, I started doing YouTube when I was in 8th grade, so 2013. So I've been doing YouTube for 10 years now. This channel is over 5 years old. This is the channel that actually took off. I mean, I only ever had like 100 subscribers on those other channels. I was making like gaming content and political content, which is offline now. You can't even find it, so don't even try. It's still there. It's just privated. Spent a lot of time editing some of those videos. Some of those videos I spent like 20 hours editing. But yeah, I love YouTube. I think it is an incredible addition to humankind. I just wish that it was a little bit more fair in the way it treated its content creators and everything. Although, to be fair, it could be a lot worse. Anyway, guys, that's going to have to wrap it up for today's stream. It is 11 a.m. I got to go put my hat on and go get our son. Let me just kind of catch you up on what happened. So last night, a friend of the family came over and took Malachi to their house so that Malachi could stay the night over there with their kids. This is the mother of 12 kids, so there's 6 still at the house. They're older. So Malachi was over there. He had an absolute blast last night. We went to labor and delivery. We were there for 6 hours. It was very difficult because we still don't know what happened and what is happening with our daughter. but we at least are pretty sure that Sarah's water isn't broken. So that's helpful. That's pretty much all we got, though. We still don't have a whole lot of information on what's going on. We did, however, get an ultrasound done, and our daughter is 1,077 grams, which, if my head math serves me correctly from last night, should be about 2.3 pounds. You can plug that into a calculator and tell me what that is. In fact, let's just do it right now. Should be 2.37 pounds. So she's getting there. She's 2 1/3 pounds. I'm really excited to meet her, but I'm just hoping she comes out the right time because it's definitely too early. Right now, Sarah is Sarah is just resting. We're gonna try and take it easy today, and not sure what's gonna happen, but we were praying that the baby stays in there for as long as possible, and we're very excited to meet her, but we want to meet her at the right time. Anyway, guys, I do have to go. I really do appreciate all of you tuning in, and I will try and get my microphone set up fixed because I have a microphone right here. This is not the one at the office. We actually have 2 of them. So I have it in my to-go bag so that I can actually have a microphone that sounds good. I have the equipment to fix that, I do believe, so I will run a test on that and see how that goes. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's stream. Before I go, though, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for praying for us and for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.